can wave at them. They're coming in. All these people from all over the world, wherever there's Perrys out there somewhere.
Yeah, no. The farthest we're getting is probably New York.
1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to our Mincha Havdalah service, where Dahlia Perri is going to become about Mitzvah. We're so excited and we're so glad wherever you are joining us. And those of us in the room, which is very few in number, we're also really glad to be together in this way, being safe and healthy. And we're really super proud of Dahlia. So Dahlia is going to be leading the way most of the time. And we're going to be using, just for those of you coming wherever you are, we're using Mishkan Tefillah prayer book. That is available at the CCAR website, which the link is on the Shir Shalom website. So if you wanted to take a look at what she was doing along the way, that is available to you. And I think that is all the announcements that I need to offer. So Dahlia, why don't you take it away with your speech?
Shabbat Shalom. My bat mitzvah is a Mincha Havdalah service. Mincha is the last service in Shabbat. In it, we start preparing for the week ahead. The Jewish week starts on Saturday night at sundown and into Sunday morning. In Israel, the work week and school week start on Sunday. We use the weekend prayer melodies and we read the Torah for the following Shabbat. We do it that way so we have a whole week to prepare and get excited for the next Shabbat. The Mincha service is very simple. It starts with Psalm 145, which is a psalm called Ashrei from the word happiness in Hebrew. Then we have the Torah service as well as the standing prayer and Aleinu, the final prayer. We will also be having Havdalah tonight, a goodbye service to Shabbat. It's a little pick-me-up that prepares us for the week ahead, because it's hard to start work again. The service has 3 parts: candle, sweet spices like cinnamon, and cloves, and wine. Each of these is meant to be something favorite or comforting. My service begins on page 338. Ashrei ashrei veitecha, od yahalelu hasela. Ashrei ha'am shekahalo, ashrei ha'am sha'onai Elohav. Tehillah David ha'Elohai ha'melech, v'varhashim ha'le'olam va'ed. Gadol Adonai halal ma'od, v'ligdulato ein heker. Hadar kavod hodacha, b'divrei niflotecha asecha. Zeharav tuvcha yabiu, b'tzidecha yeranenu. Tov Adonai l'kol, v'rachamav al kol ma'asav. Kavod malchut hayameru, uvratacha yedaberu. Malchut ha-malchut kol olamim, shaltacha bechol dor v'ador. Neho elecha yisaberu, v'ata noten elehem et olachem b'ito. Dik Adonai bechol derachav, v'chasid bechol ma'asav, ratzon yire'a ya'aseh, v'et shavatam yishma v'yoshi'im, talit Adonai yedaber pi, v'yifir kol basar kem shem kodsho le'olam va'ed, v'anachnu nevarech ya Ata ve'adolam, hallelujah. Please turn to page 630 from Matovu. Matovu, O halecha Yaakov, mishinotecha Yisrael. Matovu, O halecha Yaakov, mishinotecha Yisrael.
So, on your bat mitzvah, you one of the main things, Dahlia, that you receive is your talit. A prayer shawl is a sign of Jewish adulthood. So I'm going to invite up your parents, Jen and Jason, to present to you a talis. It's a very special talus. I think it runs in your family from your grandfather, and it is coming down to you. So as they put on the talus, it's either a talit or a talus, I want you to think about being supported and nurtured by your relatives. If you could recite the blessing for us.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu v'soshav v'tzivanu lahitatef bat tzitzit.
Amen. Bless you, God, who commands us through your commandments and commands us to wear our fringe talus, to not forget the corners of our life. As this is the first time that Dahlia is doing this, as a Jewish adult, for her bat mitzvah, she's going to be reciting the Shekianu for new things.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'hekianu la'azman hazeh.
Blessed are you, God, who gives us life, allows us to be present today, and allows us to be together on this very important and sacred occasion. So I'm going to invite Jen and Jason to sit down, and we're going to turn to page 342 for the Chati Kaddish. Cantor Frank, who is in the back of your room. You're not going to be able to see her, those of you out there in the world who are joining us, but you'll be able to hear her voice.
Yitkadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yalma divrach kiroteh, v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechoni v'echon, v'chayitecho bet Yisrael, v'agalal u'vizman kari v'yimeru.
Amen.
Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach, le'olam olamei almaya. Yitbarach, Yibarach, Yishtabach, Yitba'ar, Yitramah, Yitnaseh, Yitadar, Yitaleh, Yitala, Shemei Dekudisha.
Brechu.
Le'elam Yiko Birchata V'shirata, Tushbechata V'nechamata, Damiram B'yalma V'yimeru.
Amen.
Please rise and join me in the chanting of the tefillah on pages 344 through 348. Adonai Sifat Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips and my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avoteinu ve'Imoteinu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yiska, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. El Hagidol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon Gomer Hasodim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol, v'Soher Hasid Avot v'Imahot, Umeve Geula, Livnei B'neihem Lama'an Shemo v'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai mehayeh hakol atah rav le'hoshia morid hatal mehayel hasim bechesed mehayeh hakol berachabim rabim somech noflim ve'rofeh cholim umatir asurim umekayem emunatah lishanei afar michamocha bal giburot umidomela Melech Memid Umechaye Imusia Yeshua V'na'aman ta'ata l'chayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechaye hakol. Please remain standing while we continue with the Kiddush on page 350.
Nikadesh Shemcha Babulam, Kishem Shemakdishim Ato B'Shmei Hakatuv Yadivyecha, V'Karazel Zeviyama. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Sevaot, Melech haaretz kivodo, Adir, Adirenu, Adonai Eloheinu, Adir Shemcha b'chol haaretz, Baruch kivod Adonai b'imkomo, Echad, Hu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu, Hu Malkeinu, Hushienu, Hu Yashmin v'rachamav me'enei kol
dor vador,
le dor vador,
le dor vador,
le
le
dor
dor vador, nagid god lecha.
ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש, קדושתך נקדיש. ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם לעולם ועד. לדור ודור,
Dor vador,
לדור ודור,
le dor vador,
לדור ודור נגיד god lecha. לדור ודור,
le dor vador,
לדור ודור,
le dor vador,
לדור ודור
nagid god lecha.
Dahlia is going to be reading on the bottom of page 350.
To all generations we will declare your greatness, and for all eternity proclaim your holiness, your praise. O God, it shall never depart from our lips. Blessed are you, Adonai, the Holy One.
We're going to continue quietly, so take a couple minutes for your own private reflections, and then we'll be continue on page 360. And whenever you're ready, you may be seated. We're going to resume our service on page 360.
Oseh shalom bimramav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru, v'imiru, amen. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Now we turn to page 364 for our Torah service.
The Torah service is really the main part, the central piece of a bat mitzvah. It's the reason why we're here. Torah, as Dahlia has already told us, is read on mincha and afternoon, as well as in the morning and various times during the week. Those are the times we come together because it's the Torah that makes the event special. It's the Torah that requires a Jewish adult, that Dahlia now is. So we're going to be passing down that Torah tradition to Dahlia. During the pandemic, we have a little bit of a different way of doing this. We're not going to be physically handing the Torah from one person to the next, but I'm going to invite Dahlia and her parents, Jen and Jason, as well as her brother Jack and her grandmother Nancy, to come over to the Torah table to grab on to the tradition, to grab on to that Torah. And Dahlia, I want you to feel the generations. This Torah that you are holding right now has been passed down all the way from Mount Sinai and Moses, from generation to the next, Lador Vador, as you sang so beautifully, all the way through your grandparents, parents, and now to you. I want you to feel that Torah come into you, and hold on as Cantor is going to sing a version of generation to generation.
לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך.
So we're going to invite Dahlia over to her mic, and on page 366, she's going to lead us in the important prayers around the Torah service.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo.
Gadilu Ladonai Iti Moromema Shemo Yachdav.
I'm going to invite Dahlia's family to sit down at this point, and Dahlia is going to be able to share with us a little bit about what her Torah reading is about.
My Torah portion is Naso. It's from the book of Numbers, which is the fourth book in the Torah. And this is the second portion in the book of Numbers. Numbers gets its name because it starts off with a census. A census is counting people. 2020 is a census year for the United States as well. They were taking a census because we were about to enter into the Promised Land, and they wanted to know how many people there were. The part of the census I'm reading about are the Levites, the priestly clan. There are three parts of the family: the Kohathites, the Merarites, and the Gershonites. Each has a different responsibility of taking care of the tabernacle, which is a portable sanctuary of the Jewish people. The tabernacle had a lot of different parts, and it was hard to put together. Different families were in charge of different parts of it. The Gershonites were in charge of all the hangings and coverings. The Merarites were in charge of the heaviest parts, the more solid parts of the tabernacle. And the Kohathites were in charge of the ritual items. Generational jobs were passed down, which means that jobs were passed from father to son. Also, people's last names came from these jobs because this was the family business. The Levites did not have land because they spent all day dealing with all the priestly duties. The community supported them. Above the Levites were the Kohathites, and they were in charge of the rituals, the rabbis of the time. They worked behind the scenes, kind of like the stage crew. They were the important minions or the Oompa Loompas. Then we have the priestly blessing. Before my service, I was blessed with Rabbi with the priestly blessing, and at the end of the service, we will hear it again. This old blessing is still used today in our happiest occasions. My Torah portion can be found in the book of Numbers, chapter 4, verse 21.
If you're looking for the Torah portion and you're on a computer, just type it in, Numbers chapter 4, or Naso is the name of it. I'd like to invite Dahlia over to the Torah table now, and she is going to be finding her place, but right in front of her is a bag with a very special gift from our religious school. That is a yad, a pointer that is used for the reading of the Torah, and that is yours on behalf of our religious school for your amazing effort over the years as being part of our religious school. You want to just hold that up and show it to everyone? I haven't even seen it. We thank to Joanne Marcusy, our executive director, for picking it out for you. So why don't you find your place in the Torah, and I'm going to be inviting up your brother Jack for the first reading. And Jack, actually bring your prayer book out, because I think we don't have the blessing in there. And the blessing is on page 368. So Dahlia, just show him. Oh, yeah, Dahlia can also show you where the blessing is as well. The Torah that she's reading has no vowels. She has to learn the melody, and it takes quite a long time. And we're super proud of her, the effort that she's given to this. So, Jack, if you want to touch the Torah with your talus first, and then kiss that. Yamod, proud brother, laliaha rishonah. And if you want to recite the blessing now.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Barak Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorah Leolam Vaed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayidaber Adonai El Moshe Lemor Naso Et Rosh Bnei Gershon Gam Him Levit Avotam Lemishpachotam Miben Shloshim Shana V'amala Ad Ben Hamishim Shana Tifkod Kutam Kol Haba Latzvos Ava Avod Avodah B'Ohel Moed Sot Avodat Mishpachot HaGershuni La'avod U'Lama'asa.
Jack, if you want to come over again and touch the place where she just finished and recite the closing blessing.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Emet V'Chaye Olam Nata B'Tochenu. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Now we're on verse 25 of chapter 4. And for the second Aliyah, I'd like to invite up Dahlia's parents, Jen and Jason. Yamdu, proud parents, Lalia Hasheni.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Barak Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Laom Vaed. Baruch Adonai Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. V'naseu et Yeriot HaMishkan V'Ohel Moed Miksei u'miksei HaTachash Asher Alav Milamala Et Masa Peta Ohel Moed V'Kale HaChaser V'Yad Masa Peta Sha'ar HaChaser Asher Al HaMishkan V'Hamizbeh Saviv V'Mitrehem V'Kokalei Avodatam V'Et Kol Asher Ya'aseh Lehem V'Abadu Al Pi Aharon U'Vanah Tehiyeh Kol Avodat B'nei HaGershuni Le'Chol Masa'am U'Le'Chol Avodatam Ufkadetem Alehem B'Mishmeret Et Kol Masa'am Sot Avodat Mishpachot B'nei HaGershuni B'Ohel Moed U'Mishmartam B'Yad Itamar Ben Aharon HaKohen.
Jen, if you could kiss the Torah there and just say the final blessing into the mic.
Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Emet V'Chai Olam Nata B'Toenu. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. For the third Aliyah, which is Dahlia's Aliyah, I'm going to introduce someone who has been here all along, but you probably haven't seen him if you're out because he's beyond the screen. He's been serving as the Gabbai, which is the person who helps assist during the Torah. This is Mr. Harvey Horowitz, who has served as Dahlia's 7th grade and 6th grade teacher, as well as her tutor for her bar bat mitzvah. And he is going to be calling out Dahlia's Hebrew name, which is a beautiful Hebrew name and quite long. So I'm just going to make sure I got this right. Okay.
I've got it.
You got, oh, okay, he's got it. Good. It's, let's see, Devora Golda, Bat Sprinza Rivka Jason. So that's quite a beautiful name. So he's going to call that out so that Dahlia can come before the Torah and recite the blessing for the very first time. I'm going to invite all of you here to rise, and wherever you are, to please rise with us. And we're going to do a very particular action. We're going to put our hand in a fist, and you're going to help me here. We're going to give her some strength after Mr. Horowitz has announced her name. We're going to say, it's a hard word, Chizki, Chizki. And we're going to go like this, Chizki, Chizki. And that's a sign of strength. So we're going to do that right after Mr. Horowitz gives Dahlia's name and calls her up, just on my signal.
Ta'amod, 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 habachura habat mitzvah, Devora Golda, bat Sprinza Rivka v'Jason, la'aliyah ha'shalishit.
Chizki.
Baruch Adonai Hamvara.
Baruch Adonai Barak Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
B'nei Merari lemishpotam levi avotam tikodotam miben shloshim shana v'amala ve'ad ben hamishim shana tifkinem kol haba latzava lavod et avodah ohel moed be'ezot mishmeret masa'am l'chol avodatam b'ohel moed Karshei Hamishkan Uvrihav V'amudav V'adanav V'amudei Hachazer Saviv V'adehem V'tedotem U'metrehem Lechol Kilehem U'lechol Avodatam U'shemot Tivkadu Et kolei mishmeret masa'am Zot avodat mishpachot b'nei Merari L'chol avodatam b'ohel moed Be'yad Itamar ben Aharon ha'kohen Vayifkod Moshe v'Aharon Unasi'eh ha'evan ohel et b'nei hakehati l'mishpachotam uvet avotam miben shloshim shana v'mala ve'ad ben hamishim shana kol haba latzava lavod b'ohel moed vayivkod Moshe v'yivkuhem l'mishpachotam alpayim sheva me'od v'hamishim elef v'kudei mishpachot hakehati kol ha'oved b'ohel moed asher Kav Moshe v'Aharon al pi Adonai v'yad Moshe.
The blessing after the Torah.
Baruch Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'heo olam nata b'toheinu Baruch Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Mazel tov. Dahlia, if you want to cover the Torah and make sure that it's well covered. And what we're going to do is a very, very special tradition. You're going to stand a little bit over from the Torah. Why don't you move the mic back to where it was? And we have a very special tradition of tossing candy. And I know you've been looking forward to this since Jack's bar mitzvah, when apparently you were able to throw the candy very precisely at your brother, and he's been waiting for this moment. So this is a way of showering you in sweetness, and your mother Jen has picked out something very sweet, Hershey Kisses. So what we're going to do is Cantor is going to be singing Simon Tov or Mazel Tov, and I want you to feel the sweetness of this occasion.
Simon Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simon Tov, Simon Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simon Tov, Simon Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simon Tov. Yehelanu, 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 U'v'cho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, U'v'cho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, U'v'cho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, U'v'cho Yisrael.
For those of you watching out there in the streaming, the floor is scattered with Hershey Kisses now. So Dahlia is going to officially say goodbye to our Torah by singing "It's a Tree of Life," and it's officially on page 374 if you want to follow along.
It is a tree of life for those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. Shalom, 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 shalom.
We're now going to be hearing from Dahlia about one of the most important parts of a mitzvah, about mitzvah. Mitzvah is about good deeds, and we have a mitzvah project that she's going to be telling us about.
Shabbat Shalom. Originally for my mitzvah project, I was going to work with the Cat Adoption Center. I'm a big animal lover and I have 3 cats of my own. Then everything changed and I couldn't volunteer there anymore. For my new project, I have helped write postcards for Reclaim Our Vote. These cards help educate people on their right to vote during the 2020 election. Now more than ever, it's important that everyone uses their voice. Having to change everything for my bat mitzvah has taught me to be very flexible. At first, I was so disappointed about changing the date and format of my bat mitzvah, but now I know I am lucky enough to still be able to celebrate it with my close friends and family. Many other things have changed even outside of bat mitzvah. This year, I have not been able to play softball or go to summer camp, which are some of my favorite things to do. But what this has taught me is how to be flexible, patient, and enjoy what I have. To those watching during our live stream, I thank you for being a part of my big day. I wish you could be here with me, but more than anything, I wish for you to stay healthy. I'd like to thank Rabbi, Cantor, and Mr. Horowitz for all the time and energy they put into getting me ready. In fact, because we had to postpone for May, they had to spend even more time getting me ready than normal. So thank you to them for keeping up with me. I couldn't have been successful without them. Finally, I'd like to thank my family who are here with me today. I know how much they love and support me. I'd especially like to thank my mom, dad, and Jack for everything they have done to make me feel better about the way my bat mitzvah turned out. My parents have done everything they could to make me smile and console me when I was disappointed. I love them all very much.
Beautiful. That was so very heartfelt. And we're going to bring your mom, Jen, up to address you. And there should be tissues under the Torah table if you need.
I came prepared. I come with my own tissues because we know. She cries. So my dear sweet little Dahlia, as you stand here today, proud of yourself for a job well done, know that Dad and I are proud of you for so many other reasons. Oh boy, okay. You know most of these reasons. Your exceptionally good grades, you're such a hardworking and conscientious student, and your teachers love you. You're kind to others. You always have something nice to say or a compliment to give, especially to your friends. You're athletic. You love to play basketball and softball and volleyball. And you're helpful, especially to anybody who's not Dad or I. So you're always known for helping Nana and Papa around the house, but when it comes my turn for a chore, you suddenly disappear. But in general, you're very helpful, okay? However, recently Dad and I found another reason to be proud of you. Dad and I have been amazed at how resilient you have been these last few months. It seems at every turn you were met with disappointment. First was the disappointment of school being shut down. It was the disappointment of a canceled vacation to Florida, canceled softball season, or canceled sleepaway camp. But perhaps the biggest disappointment for you revolves around this bat mitzvah. When we made the decision this spring to move from your original May 23rd date, you were sad and angry. After a mourning period, you began to accept the situation for what it was and started looking forward to your August 22nd date. It was then that Dad and I saw your strength and determination. You worked so hard to not let your disappointment define you or bring you down. Instead, you thought of new ways to make this experience meaningful and memorable. And when, 2 weeks ago, we decided to postpone your party until the spring, we thought you would break. Dad and I prepared ourselves for the big emotions that you were going to feel, but you stayed strong. You cried. You got angry. But when the time came, you were ready to face your next obstacle. Dahlia, you may not feel like this is extraordinary, but it most definitely is. The teenage years are hard on any young woman, even in the best of circumstances. You continue to show us that you can face any challenge with grace and humility and kindness. You see the bright side, the silver lining in everything, even when you don't want to. We love you so much, and I know I speak not only for our family sitting here with us today, but our friends and family who couldn't be with us today when I say that you are truly amazing, Dahlia Grace, and we love you.
So Dahlia, if you could kind of position yourself, I'm going to address you over here. We've set up the room in such a way so we can all be safe with each other. It's a little bit awkward, and it's been amazing watching you really navigating and taking control of the space, and that really is rewarding. I think it's a benefit to this period we're in, because I really can't help you, Cantor can't help you, Mr. Horowitz can't help you. You're kind of on your own out there, and that's a wonderful metaphor for growing up in a way. So first of all, there are a couple of gifts that are there for you. And normally we would have a representation from our board of directors and women and men's club. We have there a Kiddush cup that's wrapped up for you. I know you're going to be using your grandfather's, your late grandfather's Kiddush cup that was on his bar mitzvah, but you actually receive your own one, just like Jack did. And that's care of our men's group and our women of Shir Shalom. We also, before we gathered in this space, we went outside and we signed a certificate for you, as well as a certificate coupon to go to Israel. But like all young Jewish women and men, you get to go to Israel for free with birthright, and we hope that you do that until you're 32 years old. So that's also to Jack out over there. Dahlia. It's a rare gift to work with someone that I have worked with for as many years as I have worked with you. You live in the same area as my family does. You attend the same schools that my family does. So we have a very particular connection. In addition to working with your brother Jack some years ago for his bar mitzvah, I also got to work particularly with your mom in our parent council and in many other areas, and gotten to see you grow up. It's been quite amazing for me. It always is amazing to see the transformation from a child to a young adult. And for those of us on the outside, not in your family directly, it just kind of happens out of nowhere. Suddenly we see that you're taller than your mom. I don't know how that happened. But more than that, we see your strength and confidence grow in bounds. And I have witnessed that since March, the last time that we really saw each other in person, till today. Wow, what a difference. It's like overnight, not only did you grow in your height and your stature, but you just grew in your belief in yourself and the strength that you have. And I can feel it building, and it's only going to get stronger as you get older. You're going to feel that center that you have in your capacity to do amazing things. This is just a small glimpse into it. It is very hard to prepare for a bat mitzvah, and it's especially hard in a pandemic where you've had to switch things around and move from May all the way into August, which is quite a very different experience than you originally signed up for. But along the way, you've learned to stay steady on that narrow bridge that Rabbi Nachman tells us we should go. When we walk across that narrow bridge, which is the way sometimes life is, the key is not to be afraid. And I don't feel any fear in you today. I feel a sense of strength, courage, conviction, not only for yourself, but from your family, and you're giving strength to them. I saw the way you comforted, supported your parents and your brother as they navigated the difficult duty of saying the blessings before the Torah, in addition to your mom giving a speech, a very heartfelt speech. I know that from Mr. Horowitz and Cantor and myself, we're super proud of you. We're rooting for you, and we cannot wait for the next stages in your life to see what you are going to become and what you are going to do to this world. And we are going to, believe me, years from now, we're going to be feeling pride just like we feel pride in your brother as he grows and matures in his journey. So we wish you nothing but mazel. I hope that you only take from this process not all the craziness, just the strength that you had to see it through. And I hope that's what you remember. Not that it's a little smaller than we hoped, but that you did it. And that's the most important thing of all. So as you said in your speech, coming directly out of your Torah portion, which is the priestly blessing, we had a chance to offer that to you before the service, and now we are at that moment. So I'm going to invite Cantor to recite the priestly blessing. I'm going to recite the English, and I want you to feel it. If the parents and Jack or anyone who wants to gather around her to kind of support her. This blessing goes back thousands of years. It's one of our oldest blessings. And I want you to feel not just our voices, but all the many generations, all the way back to Aaron that you read about in your Torah portion. May God bless you and watch over you. May God shine God's light upon you and grant you comfort. May God lift God's face to you and grant you peace. And we say, Amen. Okay, so we're at our end of our service at this point. We're going to be turning to the Aleinu, our call to do good deeds out in this world. And you certainly did with the wonderful Get Out the Vote program that you did. I think you did 40 postcards. Is that what you did? That was amazing. Page 586, we invite everyone to rise for our call to do good in the world.
עלינו לשבח לדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וכבודנו ככל המונם. אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 591.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא ביום
be seated, and we turn to the mourner's Kaddish. At a bat mitzvah, we always think about those that aren't here. We know that they have joined us in spirit, and you have a whole team of people, your ancestors, who you may never have met, but who are part of who you are. So we're going to be thinking about a couple of them, Frederick Nitka and Maria Perez, and we invoke their names. As we recite the mourner's Kaddish. It's on page 598. Those whose custom it is to rise, please rise and we'll recite this together. Yitkadal, V'yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, B'yalma, Divra, Chirte, V'yamlik, Malkute, B'chayachon, V'yamachon, V'chayedecho Be'Yisrael, B'agala, V'yizman, Kariv, V'yimru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah, Barach, Le'olam, Olmei Almaya, Yitbarak, V'yishtabak, V'yitpa'ar, V'yitramam, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shmei Dekudasha, Brechu, Le'olam Mikol Birchata V'shirata, Tush B'chata V'nechamata, Damiran B'yalma, V'yimaru Amen. Yehi Shlam Rabbah Min Shemaya, Chayim Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael, V'yimaru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'yimramav. Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu, V'yal Kol Yisrael, V'yal Kol Yoshvei Tevel, V'yimaru Amen. May the one who creates harmony and high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to all the world, and we say, Amen. So we've reached that moment of Havdalah, separation. A bat mitzvah is actually a separation between childhood and adulthood, and that's what we make the break today between Shabbat and the rest of the week. So I'm going to invite up your team of Havdalah holders, and we're going to turn off the lights. Actually, let me do that. Joanne Marcusy, our executive director, is going to fulfill that duty. So I'd like to invite up Jason is going to be, Papa Jason is going to be holding the wine with the special Kiddush cup that extends to Dahlia's grandfather. And we are going to have Jack holding the spices, and Jen, Mom Jen, is going to be holding the special braided candle. So just hold the candle over the table portion, and the prayers itself are found on page 612, and Dahlia will lead us.
La.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei Perri hagafen borei Perri hagafen yalalala yalalala Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei v'samim yalalala yalalala Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov, Shavua Tov. A good week of peace, make gladness reign and joy increase. A good week of peace, make gladness reign and joy increase. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagilati. Bimara ve'yameinu, yavo aleinu, Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagilati.
Now, Jen, I'm going to ask you to dip the candle inside the wine. As we extinguish the candle, we bring a close to Shabbat. May Elijah the prophet, Elijah of Gilead, quickly in our day come to us heralding redemption. This concludes our service today. We wish Dahlia and her entire mishpacha, our entire family, Mazel Tov. As you came in peace, may you leave in peace. Shavua Tov, a good week.